associated
and collaboration. And that's
of our thermal protection experts on the vehicle, I'm sorry, on the ship that is with the
This is Mission Control Houston, 8 days, 22 hours, 55 minutes into the flight of Integrity on the Artemis II mission. On board the vehicle, the four crew members, Commander Reid Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, and mission specialists Jeremy Hansen and Christina Koch are suiting up in their Orion crew survival suits, the launch and entry suits that they also wore during their launch from the Kennedy Space Center back on April 1st. Once the crew is all suited up, they'll conduct a series of leak checks to make sure that they have good suit integrity, aboard integrity, before they strap themselves into their seats for the final phase of this mission that will culminate with a splashdown in the Pacific 2 hours and 35 minutes from now at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time, about 2.5 hours before sunset, southwest of San Diego. At p.m. action that will culminate with a splashdown in the Pacific 2 hours and 35 minutes from now at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time, about 2.5 hours before sunset, southwest of San Diego. Are in all that continuing to accelerate towards the next major milestone, which will be the separation of the crew module from the European service module 2 hours and 1 minute from now. That separation maneuver, pyrotechnically, will occur at 6:33 p.m. Central Time. That will be followed just 4 minutes later by a raise burn, a 19-second burn of Integrity's thrusters to induce a change in velocity of 9.9 feet per second, slightly raising up the aft end of the vehicle to improve its angle of attack as it enters the Earth's atmosphere, and in the process mitigates the peak heating effects on the heat shield of the vehicle. Out in the splashdown zone, out in the Pacific Ocean, the weather is forecast to be go by the Spaceflight Meteorology Group here at the Johnson Space Center. Winds of just about 10 knots and wave heights less than 4 feet, which should be ideal for the recovery forces that are being deployed from the USS John Murtha to recover the crew, extract them, hoist them into 2 Navy helicopters, and fly them back to the deck of the Murtha to be brought into medical bay for post-splashdown medical checks. We now have a report from the environmental systems officer here that we have good suit leak checks. All 4 suits have passed the leak check, so we are in good shape here for entry and splashdown coming up just over 2.5 hours from now. One data point, just an update on some numbers that we've just received from Flight Dynamics, and these are unofficial and will not become official until post-flight. We now anticipate that the maximum speed that Integrity will encounter as it enters the Earth's atmosphere will be right around the same time as we enter a communications blackout of 6 minutes in duration. We're expecting Integrity's peak speed at 6:54 and 4 seconds p.m. Central Time, and at that point, the vehicle should be traveling at 24,661.21 miles per hour, which will be just 130 miles short in velocity of the record that was set back in 1969 by the Apollo 10 crew, Tom Stafford, Gene Cernan, and John Young, on their return from orbiting the moon. Once again, that peak speed expected to be reached just a few seconds after the start of entry interface. As the vehicle plummets back into the Earth's atmosphere, the peak speed expected to be reached at 6:54 and 4 seconds p.m. Central Time. And that peak speed now estimated by Flight Dynamics to be 24,661.21 miles per hour, which equates to about Mach 33.
Houston Integrity, seat 1 and 2, leak check complete. Also, we powered up the AGA, and it's giving us a CO2 alarm at 4.4.
We copy leak check. We saw it as well. And copy CO2 at 4.4. We are discussing.
We also on the AGA have a bit A of 16. We've seen that in the past. Should go away.
And Reid, is the AGA been powered for 5 minutes yet, or are we still in that wait period?
We are in the wait period. We expect that bit will go away.
We copy, and that bit can also indicate that we cannot trust the other values, so we'll check back with you after the 5 minutes on the CO2 level.
A firm.
This is Mission Control Houston. Mission elapsed time of 8 days, 23 hours, 2 minutes into the flight of Integrity on the Artemis II mission. While we have a moment here, just an opportunity to run down some of the chronological highlights that lie ahead over the next 2.5 hours before Integrity splashes down in the Pacific Ocean. Coming up at 5:30 p.m. Central Time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we will begin a simulcast of NASA Plus coverage that will accompany our 24/7 YouTube coverage that we have been providing ever since we began the mission with the tanking of the Space Launch System at the Kennedy Space Center for launch back on April 1st.
Houston Integrity, we are complete through steps 18. Seats 3 and 4 are yet to suit, obviously.
Jeremy, we copy you completed 16 through 18 and confirm for us whether you needed any adjustments of CIAS in step 17.
Negative. All the settings were still in their launch config.
Houston copies.
Once again, with the leak checks having been successfully completed on the 4 launch and entry suits for the crew members on board Integrity, once again, we'll begin our NASA Plus coverage as a simulcast to our 24/7 YouTube coverage in less than an hour at 5:30 p.m. Central Time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. At 6:15 p.m., we're going to hand over communications from the Deep Space Network to the Tracking and Data Relay Satellite System as Integrity continues to approach the Earth. Currently, Integrity is less than 20,000 nautical miles from its destination and a splashdown in the Pacific. We will separate the European service module from the crew module at 6:33 p.m. Central Time. And just 4 minutes later, we'll conduct a raise burn, a 19-second burn of the Integrity thrusters to slightly tilt the vehicle's orientation upward, with the aft end being tilted upward. That will also change the velocity by 9.9 feet per second and complete the orientation of the vehicle for its angle of attack as it enters the Earth's atmosphere. Entry interface, where we reach the first traces of Earth's atmosphere and where most of the dynamic operations will then begin. Entry interface is scheduled at 6:53 and 31 seconds p.m. Central Time, where Integrity will be at an altitude of 400,000 feet above the Earth, traveling at about 34,882 feet per second, with a range to splashdown of 1,701 nautical miles. Just 10 seconds, just a few seconds later, about 24 seconds later, we'll enter a 6-minute communications blackout at 6:53 and 55 seconds p.m. That communications blackout will be due to the buildup of plasma around the vehicle, the ionization of the interaction of the velocity of Integrity with the friction of the Earth's atmosphere. So the communications blackout, to last about 6 minutes in duration, will start 24 seconds after entry interface. At 6:54 and 4 seconds p.m., we'll reach our peak velocity. This is an estimation from Flight Dynamics. We should be reaching a peak velocity of 24,661.21 miles per hour, or somewhere around Mach 33. This will fall about 130 miles per hour short of the speed record set by the Apollo 10 command module, the Charlie Brown, during the Apollo 10 mission of Tom Stafford, Gene Cernan, and John Young back in the spring of 1969. Once the communications blackout ends, which is expected just a few seconds before 7 p.m. Central Time, 6:59 and 56 seconds p.m. Central Time, we will be at an altitude of 157,000 feet over the Pacific Ocean, and at that point we should be traveling at about 13,300 feet per second, with a range to splashdown of just 147 nautical miles. There will be a series of roll reversals, first to the left, allowing Integrity to bank to the left. These are computer-commanded, not crew-commanded, but computer-commanded roll reversals to bank the vehicle first to the left, then to the right. That bleeds off excess energy and helps to reduce the speed and the heating effects on the vehicle during the final phase of flight. Starting at 7:03 and 22 seconds p.m. Central Time, we'll begin the series of chute deployments. In all, there are 11 parachutes associated with this mission. The first 3 will pull off the forward bay cover from the top of the vehicle. The forward bay cover chutes are 3. That'll be followed by the deployment of the drogue chutes at 7:03 and 23 seconds p.m. Then 3 pilot parachutes will pull the main parachutes, 3 of them, from the forward bay cover. The forward bay housing all of the parachutes at the very top of Orion. The main chute deploy is scheduled at 7:04 and 44 seconds p.m. The vehicle will have slowed to just a very glacial speed of 198 feet per second, I should say, at that point, at an altitude of 5,400 feet above the Pacific Ocean. The splashdown velocity, of course, will be 0. 19 miles an hour is the velocity that the crew will feel under the 3 main parachutes as they splash down in the Pacific, southwest of San Diego. So a number of major milestones lie ahead. Splashdown time is currently estimated at 7:07 and 7 seconds p.m. Central Time, 5:07 and 7 seconds p.m. Pacific Time. That will conclude a total traveling distance from launch to splashdown of 694,481 statute miles. We're just 1 hour and 48 minutes away now from crew module, service module separation. The crew has donned their launch and entry suits. They've conducted leak checks. Everything is in order, and the weather is go at the splashdown site. Some of the flying assets that will collect imagery of the descent of Integrity towards splashdown have already been deployed from the deck of the USS John Murtha. The actual recovery team members will be deployed in helicopters and fast boats a bit later on as we approach splashdown, and of course after splashdown itself. Once the vehicle splashes down, we'll be deploying the 5 inflatable airbags at the top of the vehicle with helium. That will ensure that the vehicle is upright throughout the course of the recovery operations. The team here in Mission Control will check all of the systems on Integrity, make sure that we are not leaking any toxic gases from the spacecraft, and that will be the signal for the start of the power down of Integrity systems and the ability of the first members of the recovery team to approach the vehicle to set up the inflatable life raft called the front porch, which will be used to bring the crew members out of the vehicle into that front porch one by one after the hatch is open to Integrity. We expect the extraction of the crew to be some 45 minutes to an hour after splashdown, which would be about 30 to 45 minutes after the vehicle is powered down.
Integrity, Houston, we are ready for another CO2 reading on the AGA.
It is 5.1.
Houston copies. And Reid, earlier I did misspeak. The CO2 reading specifically would not have been affected by that particular bit.
Okay, sounds good. We just know we're in an ARS suit, and that's very likely contributing to that.
We concur. Integrity Houston for CO2.
Go ahead, Jackie.
Hey, Reid, what we'd like to do is open the ARS ISO valve to mix the cabin and suit loop air for the time being. And we would just need a call from you all when Christina and Jeremy are getting in their seats and are a few minutes out from leak checks, and we'll get that back into a good config for you to start the next leak check.
Hey, Jackie, that's a reasonably good idea. Can we just hang on that for a little bit and see how we're doing?
Yep, up to you. We will wait. Let us know if you'd like that cabin air mixing.
Is there a CO2 number where you guys would advise us that?
Reid, we would not want to go above 7.
Yeah, that's perfect. Let us monitor it for just a couple minutes here. Houston, cabin entry config is complete, and Christina and Jeremy are about to start suit on.
Excellent on cabin config, and copy suit down.
That call from Commander Reid Wiseman aboard Integrity indicating that following the successful leak checks on the 4 launch and entry suits, the crew will begin to actually don those suits now, and then they'll climb into their respective seats, both on the flight deck and the mid deck of the Integrity, in preparation for crew module, service module separation that's scheduled 1 hour and 40 minutes from now.
Integrity Houston for enter checklist. Your CMSM SEP ATP is set to go.
We see that on the PFD, Jackie.
And the call from Capcom Jackie Mahaffey here in Mission Control to Reid Wiseman, indicating that the pyros are armed for crew module, service module separation coming up 1 hour, 38 minutes, 52 seconds from now. Integrity now squarely facing the planet Earth, 17,600 nautical miles away, headed for a splashdown 2 hours, 12 minutes from now. All of the recovery assets, the helicopters, the Navy P-3s, the pararescue divers, they're all in place, ready to recover this crew following splashdown. And again, the chronology after splashdown will call for the flight control team here in Houston to assess integrity systems, make sure no toxic gases are leaking from the spacecraft. And first order of business will be the command to inflate the crew module uprighting system bags, the 5 inflatable airbags that will be inflated with helium to maintain its upright position as it bobs in the Pacific before the recovery forces reach the crew. About 15 minutes after splashdown is when we expect the green light to be given to power down integrity systems, at which point the recovery teams will begin to make their way toward the vehicle to set up that inflatable life raft called the front porch, buttressed alongside the spacecraft. That will be the precursor to the opening of the hatch and the extraction of the crew members, one by one, into that raft, giving them a chance to get their land legs back as they feel the first sensations of Earth's gravity in 9 days and their high-speed return to Earth, with their peak speed reaching some 24,661 miles an hour.
Houston, Christina's got an amazing view of home planet out the side hatch window, and it's lighting up the cabin, and it's just a great blue hue to it. It's beautiful.
That is amazing. When you kicked us out of the cabin, we turned on one of the SAW cameras and also had the Earth's reflection on one of the arrays. It was very cool.
Oh, man, that is amazing.
This is Mission Control Houston. Commander Reid Wiseman reveling about the view of the Earth from a distance of less than 17,000 nautical miles now.
The cabin audio cable and boom mic are in F3 large, stowed.
We copy.
The view that Reid Wiseman is describing is the view you're looking at right now as the Earth grows larger in the field of view with each passing moment. We're about 29 minutes away from the start of the NASA Plus coverage, joining our 24/7 YouTube coverage as a simulcast for the remainder of the evening through the time the crew is on the deck of the USS Mertha and in medical bay. So we'll be looking forward to additional reports and other video coverage from the deck of the USS John Mertha and other assets in the splashdown zone as we continue toward splashdown and the return of Integrity's astronauts just 2 hours and 5 minutes from now.
That's the timeline which they are repeatedly talking about. I hope you can see that. I have to go. Right. Coffee for my coffee.
Couple of minor updates, just tweaks by a second or so for some of the key activities that will be coming up. Flight Dynamics providing us with some updated information. The start of the blackout period, just a 1 second change. It's going to be estimated now at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time. The duration remains 6 minutes. That blackout will end at 6:59 and 55 seconds p.m. all Central Time. We expect to begin entering the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet at 6:53 and 30 seconds p.m. And 1 second difference now in our splashdown time, if everything unfolds the way we believe it will. Splashdown now scheduled at 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time, 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time, 5:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Pacific Time at the splashdown zone off the coast of San Diego. And one other update, the latest weather forecast from the Spaceflight Meteorology Group passed on to Flight Director Rick Henfling, calls for the clouds in the splashdown zone to be in the process of dissipating. The winds are somewhat reduced, now just 6 knots. The wave height's still less than 4 feet. All go forecast. So once again, the stage is set as Integrity continues its inexorable march toward a splashdown in the Pacific 2 hours from now. 16,000 nautical miles away from the Earth. We are just 1 hour and 26 minutes away from crew module, service module separation, followed by a raise burn to tilt the aft end of the vehicle up ever so slightly and improve its angle of attack into the Earth's atmosphere as a mitigating action to reduce heat loads on the heat shield of the vehicle. This is all pre-planned, pre-flight. There's no differentiation between what we had designed this mission to do. We are expecting to reach the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at entry interface and 400,000 feet above the planet 1 hour and 45 minutes from now.
Integrity, Houston. Cabin temp cold soaking is initiated.
Copy that, Jackie. CO2 is 5.5, and we are still doing good on board. Christina and Jeremy are beginning suit on.
Houston copies all. Integrity Houston for entry checklist.
Go ahead, Jackie.
Reid, with this time to EI, we expect you're about to be stepping into steps 9 and 10 in the entry checklist. In step 10 for the SIP switch config, there are no deltas.
No deltas to step 10. Copy all.
This is Mission Control, Houston. Once again, a great view of the planet Earth from Integrity from one of the solar array wing cameras. Now just 14,000 nautical miles from splashdown. Splashdown schedule for 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time, 5:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Pacific Time. At a point to the southwest, San Diego in the Pacific Ocean, where the USS John Murtha is on station and where recovery team assets are being deployed to the predicted splashdown site to complete the mission of Integrity's astronauts and their lunar flyby. With the Earth growing larger in the field of view, the next major milestone, just 1 hour and 13 minutes from now, will be the separation of the crew module from the European service module.
Houston copies.
Now I have my cup of
The separation of the crew module will set the stage just 3.5 minutes later.
One question.
Go ahead.
When I was looking at the BFS-SM SEP, it was the exact same time as our predicted SM SEP. Can you just confirm we don't need that to be a touch later?
And Reid, matching is expected. That's when the sequence will begin for that whole SEP config.
Outstanding. Thank you for the verification.
Here in Mission Control in the Artemis Flight Control Room, Capcom Jackie Mahaffey confirming some of the timeline activities with Commander Reid Wiseman aboard the vehicle. The crew has suited up in its launch and entry suits, ready to begin the critical phase of this mission. Their homecoming to a high-speed entry and a parachute-assisted splashdown in the Pacific. Once again, the next major milestone, 1 hour, 11 minutes from now, the separation of the crew module from the European service module as Artemis's astronauts head home to complete this historic flight.
Artemis II mission is a test mission of the Orion space capsule.
Artemis II will be the first time we put humans on this rocket.
We're going back to the moon because it's the next step in our journey to Mars.
We were always going to the moon.
Pushing ourselves to explore is just core to who we are. That's a part of being a human.
And liftoff. We shall return.
Continuing to test out every bit of Orion.
Coming back to Earth, 7 miles a second.
When humanity sets big goals, we can bring together genius from around the world.
You have the best people on planet Earth putting this vehicle together.
That's what's up.
To innovate for the benefit of humanity and to inspire the world through discovery.
And here we go.
Direction. 1972, 2:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Command Module America splashes down in the Pacific with Gene Cernan, Ron Evans, and Jack Schmitt aboard as the Apollo 17 mission came to an end, along with humanity's first series of expeditions to the moon. Today at this hour, you are looking live at our planet from the Integrity spacecraft, heading for a splashdown in the Pacific off the coast of San Diego just 1 hour and 35 minutes from now. And good day from the Artemis Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, where the entry flight control team is on duty at this hour, led by Flight Director Rick Henfling, joined on console with the voice you'll hear talking to the crew throughout the course of the day. That is Jackie Mahaffey, second from your left. Everything has gone extremely well as we are closing in on the return of Artemis's astronauts from their flight around the moon and historic lunar flyby that will culminate with that splashdown in the Pacific off the coast of San Diego just 1 hour and 35 minutes from now.
And with that, it's a good entry pad, and we can continue in the procedure.
Integrity.
You're looking at a live view inside Integrity. Reid Wiseman on the left doing a fist bump with pilot Victor Glover on the right, and down in the middeck area just below their feet, suited up in their launch and entry suits, are mission specialists Christina Koch and Jeremy Hansen of the Canadian Space Agency. A number of milestones yet to unfold before splashdown just over an hour and a half from now. Earlier today, the crew woke up at about 10:35 a.m. Central Time. They completed the final major maneuver of the flight, that being the return trajectory correction 3 burn. It was an 8-second burn that fine-tuned its trajectory to enter a corridor over the Pacific Ocean a short time from now. That will be the point of entry interface, where the crew will reach the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet. The crew moved into its entry checklist just after 4 p.m. Central Time, suited up in those launch and entry suits, conducted leak checks, and now are in the final stages of their entry checklist.
Instruction 115 of entry checklist. SM separation ATP is go.
Houston copies.
The next major milestone on the route home.
Fully zipped, and they're working on EBS and then seating up.
We copy. Thanks for the status.
Jackie Mahaffey talking to Reid Wiseman aboard Integrity. The spacecraft now about 12,000 nautical miles from the Earth's surface. The next major milestone on tap for the crew will be the handover of communications from the Deep Space Network to the Tracking and Data Relay Satellite System. The Deep Space Network came into play after the translunar injection burn back on April 2nd that propelled Integrity toward its lunar flyby. We'll be back on the TDRS network here in about 41 minutes. Following that, the next activity will be the pyrotechnic separation of the crew module from the European service module. That is scheduled at 6:33 p.m. Central Time, followed 4 minutes later by one final critical maneuver. That will be a 19-second burn of Integrity's thrusters in what is called the crew module raise burn. Now, what that does is it basically acts If you were sitting in a reclining chair, you'd basically tilt yourself back. It raises the aft end of Integrity ever so slightly, and that is the final opportunity for us to fine-tune the angle of attack of Integrity through the area of peak heating at entry interface that will come a bit later on, about an hour and 18 minutes from now. So after the raise burn, we will be in the final orientation that will minimize any peak heating on the heat shield of Integrity, and prior to the time the crew enters the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet. Entry interface. This is the critical time where the crew will reach the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling 34,882 feet per second. Just 24 seconds after entering the Earth's atmosphere, we will experience a communications blackout expected to last 6 minutes in duration. This is planned, and it is caused by the interaction of the velocity of Integrity with the friction of Earth's atmosphere. There will be a buildup of plasma around the vehicle, and that ionization will prevent any communications with the crew and any receipt of data by flight controllers here in Mission Control. That blackout is scheduled to begin at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time. Again, a 6-minute blackout that will end, if all goes as planned, at 6:59 and 55 seconds p.m. Central Time. At that point, we expect to regain communications with the crew and a reacquisition of data through the Tracking and Data Relay satellite system. We will have a series of roll maneuvers. These are computer commanded that will roll the vehicle slightly to the left, then back to the right. That will bleed off excess energy as we begin our peak period of velocity. We expect to reach a maximum velocity of 24,661.21 miles per hour, equivalent to about Mach 33 times the speed of sound, shortly after we enter that blackout period. Once we exit the blackout period, of course, we're in the denser regions of the Earth's atmosphere, and then we get set up for the parachute deployment sequence. First, the deployment of 3 forward bay cover chutes that will pull essentially the top forward bay cover off the very top of the Integrity vehicle. That will be followed by the deployment of drogue chutes, and then the final deployment of a series of 3 main parachutes at 7:04 and 44 seconds p.m. Central Time. From that point on, it is about 3 minutes or so until splashdown. Splashdown scheduled at 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time at a gentle speed of 19 miles an hour. So just to give you some perspective, at the time that we enter the Earth's atmosphere, we're traveling somewhere around Mach 32. We will splash down at a speed of about 19 miles an hour. The G-forces that will build on the crew members inside Integrity will build to about 3.9 Gs. That is what is expected and what they have trained for and what the spacecraft is designed to support. The latest weather forecast out in the recovery zone off the coast of San Diego is a go forecast from our meteorologists here at the Spaceflight Meteorology Group at the Johnson Space Center. And standing by on the deck of the USS John Murtha is my colleague from the Kennedy Space Center, Megan Cruz. Megan?
Hey there, Rob. Yeah, welcome to the bow of the USS John Murtha. This is where we will report out live updates from the ship as NASA and the U.S. military work to recover our Artemis II astronauts in just about an hour and a half. How exciting. Now, right now, as you can see, we are out in the Pacific Ocean. We are just west of San Diego. We're actually staged about 6.5 miles away from where we expect Orion to splash down. And then we will incrementally move closer. So at the time of splashdown, we'll be about 5 miles away, and then we will move to 3.2 miles away. At that point, we'll pause, make sure that all the debris that might be coming down with Orion, because basically some parts of like the parachute system, they're jettisoned off Orion during descent. So we'll just want to make sure that those all land in the water and that we are safe to move even closer. So we will make sure that we can move a little closer, and at that point we will move to a mile away from Orion. And at that point the ship will circle the capsule while NASA and Navy recovery forces work to get our astronauts out, and we should have great views of the bow from here. But also we have a ton of cameras all around the ship. For example, we actually have some cameras right to the left of me here on the bow. These are very strong, stabilized cameras. We can really get up close to make sure that we are sharing all the images we have available to you. We also will have some views from above. We actually have 5 planes providing live views of splashdown today. In fact, some of those aerial assets just took off from San Diego minutes ago. And then actually here on the flight deck, you see 4 helicopters, the 2 in the back. Those will take off in about 30 minutes from now, also with live cameras. So again, lots and lots of imagery that we hope to share with you today. And then those 2 helos in the front, those 2 will pluck the crew out of the water and fly them back to our ship. Now, the combined team here on the ship, more than 550 people, left San Diego 4 days ago, and since then I've watched different teams train every day, rehearse, final preps to make sure that they're ready for today. So to give us more of an update about how recovery is going on right now, why don't we turn over to Paul here, Paul Serpinski. He is the Assistant Artemis Recovery Director. Great to have you here, Paul.
Great to be here, thanks.
Absolutely. So you just left the landing forces operations center here on the ship. How are we looking for recovery?
Right now, it's looking great. When I left, they were just about to get into weather briefing with Mission Control Center in Houston. But listening to the loops this morning and everything that's been going on, the reentry trajectory correction burn, the return trajectory correction burn went great. They were right down the money, right on the money, right down the middle where they should be coming back. Our forces here are teams out in the water. All our boats are launched or will be imminently. So yeah, it's just coming along great.
Yeah. It's really nice to see. We did see some of those boats float behind us. We were hoping to give you a live view, but of course they floated right out of the camera shot as you came to us. But so basically the team right now here on the ship, basically like monitoring mode, but really things will pick up about 15 minutes after splashdown. Yeah, so a couple minutes before splashdown, things start happening really, really fast. Mm-hmm. Some events during the re-entry, they're maybe a second or 2 apart, and so it just takes a whole lot of effort and a lot of updates back and forth between us and Houston to try to keep track of everything that's happening, all in real time. And then after splashdown, that's when the recovery team really kicks into high gear. We have our boat teams, our boat crews going out, our divers doing hazardous assessments as they get progressively closer to the capsule, making sure it's safe for all of our people to go in, and it's also safe for the astronauts to come out, because really at the end of the day, that's what we're here for, is we're to make sure that the astronauts get home safe after their tremendous journey to the moon and back. But then also we have, like you mentioned on a minute ago, all of our imagery helicopters are taking imagery, camera shots of it as it's coming in all the way through splashdown. I mean, they'll see it as soon as it crosses the horizon, all the way to the ocean here. And then afterwards, we have to recover actually Orion to bring it into the well deck of the ship. Absolutely, yeah. And so once the astronauts are safe on board, then those same dive teams are going to transition into securing the capsule. They'll position some equipment around it to kind of facilitate that. The ship will move into position. We'll attach a really big winch line to it, and then a bunch of tending lines. We'll pull the capsule around behind the ship and then start to slowly bring it in. And then, Orion comes in, goes hard down, and everyone cheers. Great day. Great day, exactly. Lots to coordinate, a lot to manage. Basically, planning for this recovery, Artemis II recovery, started a month after Artemis I launched. That was the uncrewed test flight of the Space Launch System rocket, as well as the Orion spacecraft. That was November 2022, a month later, all the planning for this. How does it feel to be so close to welcoming our friends, our astronauts, home? I mean, for the whole team, I walked around the ship this morning just kind of visiting with a lot of people, a lot of groups, and just kind of get the feel of them. And everyone has that same kind of mentality. Everyone's excited, everyone's thrilled to see
all that work that's what we've been doing, like you said, for the last 3 years, since right after the last one came back till now. And some people even further back, some of them go back a decade or more. So everyone is just excited and they're ready. They're really ready for this, and just to be able to see our crew come back, that's going to be a thrill for everyone.
How are you feeling? Are you ready? Is this something you ever thought you'd be doing?
I'm ready. I'm excited. This has been the pinnacle of my career so far. It really has. I've seen a lot of firsts, a lot of lasts, but I can't think of ever topping seeing the first crew to go to the moon and back in 50 years, and to be here and be a part of that. And it's just a tremendous privilege. And on behalf of the whole team, I'm thrilled, and so are all of us. We're ready.
Yeah, I definitely think that those words really embody how everybody on the ship is feeling. So thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate you being here. And so, Rob, we'll toss it back to you again. We will continue to join you with live updates from the ship as much as possible.
Thank you, Megan. Back here at the Johnson Space Center, the entry team of flight controllers looking over the shoulders of Reid Wiseman and Victor Glover there on the flight deck of Integrity, and again, just below their feet in the mid-deck area, if you will, Christina Koch and Jeremy Hansen of the Canadian Space Agency. They're in the final review of their entry procedures and all of the activities that will follow here very shortly in trip hammer fashion. We should note that after splashdown occurs, the flight control team here in Houston will be monitoring the orientation of the Integrity spacecraft. We are expecting it to splash down upright in what is called the Stable 1 configuration, with the top of the spacecraft pointed upward. Stable 2 would indicate that it is upside down in the water. Regardless of the orientation, there will be 5 inflatable airbags called the CMOOS system. That's the acronym for Crew Module Uprighting System.
We are suit dot complete.
Houston copies.
Reid Wiseman acknowledging that the final steps in suit donning are now complete for the crew. Leak checks have been completed earlier. The CMOOS system, those 5 inflatable airbags, will be inflated with helium. Those airbags will ensure that the vehicle remains upright. While that activity is going on, the flight control team here will be checking the systems on Integrity, also making sure that there's no leakage of toxic gas from the spacecraft. It should take about 15 minutes from splashdown to the power down of all of the systems on Integrity. And at that point, assuming everything is in a nominal fashion, then the green light will be given for the Navy recovery teams to begin to make their way closer to Integrity to begin the erection of a large inflatable life raft called a front porch that will be buttressed up alongside the hatchway to the spacecraft. That life raft will be used to bring the crew members out of this vehicle once the hatch is open, one by one. They'll get their land legs back after 9 days of weightlessness before they're put in harnesses to be hoisted one by one in sequential fashion, in an alternating fashion, to the 2 hovering Navy helicopters overhead.
Houston Integrity for status.
Go ahead.
Seats 3 and 4 are connecting umbilicals. We're going to be stepping into leak check soon. 1 and 2 will be seated. 3 and 4 will be free float, and we'll configure EPROC accordingly.
Houston, copies all.
Reid Wiseman talking about the current procedures with the suiting of the crew members and subsequent leak checks, a final leak check for all 4 crew members. Everything is actually running a few minutes ahead of schedule. So once the life raft is inflated next to the Integrity spacecraft and the recovery teams have arrived alongside of the vehicle, the hatch will be open and the crew members will be brought outside into that front porch, as it is called, one by one. They then will be hoisted into the hovering helos overhead And those helos then will turn around once the 4 crew members are on board, 2 for each helicopter, and will head back to the ship. That should be about a 10 to 15-minute transit. Once the helicopters land on the deck of the USS John Murtha, the crew members will be exiting those helicopters and brought into medical bay on the deck on the ship itself for comprehensive medical exams. They will spend a period of time yet to be determined on board the USS John Murtha before they are flown by helicopter to the shore in San Diego, to the San Diego Naval Air Station, and ultimately will board a NASA jet for the flight back to the Johnson Space Center here in Houston. Just to recap some of the key times that are coming up, we are expecting the separation of the crew module from the service module just 43 minutes from now. That is expected to occur at 6:33 p.m. Central Time, 7:33 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be followed just 4 minutes later by the crew module raise burn, the use of Integrity's thrusters one final time in a 19-second burn to slightly tilt the vehicle up into the correct orientation or angle of attack to ensure that it enters the Earth's atmosphere at the right angle, if you will. That will help deflect the buildup of heat against Integrity's heat shield. This was a deliberate move, a change in the procedures from the Artemis I mission that resulted in unexpected char loss on the Avcoat heat shield that had not been intended based on the entry trajectory for the Artemis I mission. What we're doing is we deliberately changed the trajectory of the entry from a skip entry that was about a 3,000-mile transit across the Pacific Ocean. We are expecting now from entry interface to the point of splashdown to have a range of just 1,701 nautical miles, and that in of itself will reduce the exposure time of heating on the heat shield of the spacecraft. Once the raise burn is complete, then the stage is set for entry interface at 6:53 and 31 seconds p.m. Central Time. That means that Integrity will be entering the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling at about 34,882 feet per second, heading for its splashdown site off the coast of San Diego, as you just heard from Megan Cruz on the deck of the USS John Murtha. Splashdown once again under those 3 main parachutes is expected at 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time, 2.5 hours before sunset. The actual total distance traveled for Integrity from launch to splashdown is estimated at 694,481 statute miles. Now that includes the first high elliptical Earth orbit following launch that enabled Integrity to move to 43,000 miles above the Earth at its apogee, and enabling a 24-hour period of systems checkouts before the flight control team here and the mission management team gave approval for Integrity to conduct its translunar injection that propelled it on its way to the moon and its historic lunar flyby. So the total distance we expect this vehicle to have traveled at splashdown, 694,481 statute miles. With everything proceeding on track and on time aboard Integrity, the vehicle system's in excellent shape as the Earth grows larger in the field of view. Let's go back to the USS John Murtha and Megan Cruz, who is standing by.
Hey, yeah, Rob, welcome back. Again, we are out in the Pacific Ocean, staged just about 6.5 miles from where we expect Orion to splash down now in just over an hour. How exciting, and the weather, awesome conditions here. I know you see some wind blowing around my hair, but really nothing to speak of when it comes to having to recover our astronauts, as well as no waves here, really. So yeah, we're expecting a really great day. Also, hopefully, some really great views. You can see behind me that some of the clouds are starting to break up, so that's really exciting. And now, of course, this ship has a lot of people ready and excited to welcome our crew back home, including Dr. Rick Schuring here. He is a NASA flight surgeon. Great to have you here, Rick.
You too, Megan. It is a blessing to be out here this day with our teams. We've trained 3 years for this nonstop with the U.S. Navy and along with EGS, and we've so looked forward to this day. And you know, just by God's grace, everything's parting, the skies and everything. The crew's doing great. Looking forward to coming back, and our teams are ready. So this is one of those days you've dreamt about, and now it's finally here, and we're ready, and just thankful to be a part of it.
Yeah, and you play a really integral role. When was the last time you spoke to the crew, and how are they feeling in this last hour before splashdown?
Sure. Yeah, so the crew woke up. When they splashed down, they were woken up about 8.5 hours ago. Me and my fellow crew surgeons, Doctors Chris Haas and Rafi Kumjian from the Canadian Space Agency, spoke with them about 6.5 hours ago, just to double check on how they were doing, if there's any medical issues, you know, how they slept, and then kind of go over their landing day protocol for their medications, for what we call a fluid load, to try to replace some of the fluid and electrolytes that they've lost with just a normal space adaptation. Once they got to space, they kind of have to replace some of that fluid to help them with the whole landing kind of readaptation to 1G, which they haven't done for the last 10 days. And then just kind of let them know how things are going to play out, you know, out with the open water teams all the way until we finally get to the med deck. So they